Welcome into the Tour Coach, everybody. I'm your host, Tony Ruggiero here. Appreciate all of you that follow us, that listen to us, and participate with us. If you're new to this, my name's Tony Ruggiero. I'm a golf coach and teacher down in Palm Beach Gardens area at Old Palm, where I spend a big chunk of my time, where I'm lived in Mobile, Alabama, and have a studio here for a long time, and travel around the South and the country as well, teaching folks on the LIV Tour, the PGA Tour, LPGA, Epson tours, colleges, and so forth, as well as anybody that wants to get better. And these are a collection of my conversations and the stories and the people that I meet on the road or that I teach with, whether they're coaches, players, sometimes students that have interesting stories. All of it is an effort to bring you the people that I find fascinating, that I find have a story, that I find can help all of you improve your golf game or improve your coaching, or just fuel your passion for getting better at the game. So we hope you like the Tour Coach, and if you like it, please do us a favor, like it, subscribe to it, share it, and also want to remind all of you that here at the DewSweepers, we've been really making an effort. I know a lot of you have reached out, really made an effort to put out a lot of content. I know the instruction game is changing. There's more and more content. That's where those of you that are passionate about and have a desire to get better at the game go, is to the sources of content. You can always find us on the DewSweeper on Instagram, but in particular, our DewSweeper TV on YouTube. All you got to do is go to YouTube and type in DewSweeper TV. And once again, we've got a major coming up. So we're in that stretch with a bunch of majors through the season, and we're going to run another contest. We've just dropped another Pro Work episode. And look, so starting now, I draw the night after the U.S. Open, Monday night. All you have to do is go to DewSweeper TV on YouTube and watch the Pro Work episode where we take Fred from shooting 85 down to 75, true story, golf.com article backing it up, and type in hashtag Pro Work or hashtag Tour Coach or hashtag DewSweeper TV, you pick. And on that Monday, I'm going to take from all the people that watch and comment, that signs you up for the contest, and I'm going to draw for another set of Srixon irons that fit you, your choice, a Vineyard Vines gift pack, or a Wingman Mini. And then this time I'm even going to throw in a hat, a cool-looking hat from the folks at Epic Western. And I'm going to tell you what, when I get done getting through the Monday before the U.S. Open, we got 4 of our students in sectionals trying to earn their way into the U.S. Open. We'll be sitting there that night drinking me one of those Palomas from Epic Western. Folks, if you like sipping something cool and refreshing, a cocktail, and there's not going to be anything better as the heat gets up in June and we're watching the U.S. Open in a week, grab you an Epic Western Paloma. Trust me, you won't be disappointed. And, of course, as we get ready to head into these conversations that are going to help you with the game of golf, none of this would be possible without the folks at Bushnell, Srixon, Vineyard Vines, Epic Western, as I just mentioned, and my boy Mitch McConnell and Buick GMC, Taylor Martino and Rowan, and Blaine Stokely. They're the best. They support the DewSweeper wherever we go, whether it's on the airwaves here in our content or on the radio. So keep listening here to the Tour Coach, and please like and subscribe us, and we hope you like what you hear. All right. So joining me here on the Tour Coach tonight from our crib down in Palm Beach Gardens, one of my favorite places to hang out, where I spend most of my time, down here at Old Palm. 706 Club Drive, to be exact, if any just ladies driving around, right? Just kidding, just kidding. Anyway, so hanging out here with 2 of my favorites. We had a good talk tonight down at Hurricanes Bar and Wings right up the road here. We were just talking about things we like to do and so forth. And one of the things I enjoy most doing, and I think I'm halfway decent at, but is developing younger players and college players to tour players, and 2 of my all-time favorites here, and they're from the University of South Florida. And we're going to start with Chase Gullickson, because Chase he's my boy here, and he's also on Tinder tonight. And don't worry, this is only going out to like 1 million people, so probably some people have swiped. I don't know if swiping left or right's better for you or what, but anyways, right's better. Right. We're going to do right. And Shubi. I call him Shubi. This is a good part of the story. So Shubi's from India, and when I first met him, I didn't know how to pronounce his name, so I just called him the Shubster. but we call him Shubi, Shubham Jagland. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
I should know that because I've taught you for a while. But both play for USF, both really good college players, both unbelievable potential. And anyways, just fun having you guys. You're down here to work. We're going to do some work tomorrow. Got to hang out this evening. Big part of what I do, I think, is all of us hanging out, having some wings and a couple beers and a couple cocktails. So guys, welcome. And Shubi, I think we're going to make you talk a little first, and then Chase. But I got to tell the story about you and I think I've told it on this pod before. But one of the most impressive things, Rick Lamb, Jackson, all the people have said this. Like, first time I ever had a lesson with you, I was down at Doral, working down there, teaching down there. They hadn't kicked me out yet, and most places do kick me out eventually. But you came and took a lesson, and that we were just kind of BSing at the end. And I'm like, well, how'd you get, whatever you get, where's your car? And you're like, I took a bus. And I said, a bus? Who the hell first of all, who takes a bus? Second of all, who takes a bus from Tampa to Miami for a golf lesson? And we joke about it, and we've had a bunch of fun, but that's always impressed me that was that important to you to get better. And we're going to talk about tonight is what we're going to talk about, me, you, and Chase, is our plans and what you guys want to do and what we need to do to get better. But I've always been impressed by that.
Well, took a Greyhound, landed there at 6 a.m., ate at Einstein Bros, got a bagel, and then I showed up. You walked out of the facility there, greeted me for the first time, and we've worked together ever since. Almost been 2 years, right?
Maybe a hair more.
Yeah,
almost a hair more, probably.
And it's been awesome. I appreciate you having me on the podcast.
You kind of actually, and Chase, you'll vouch for this. Chase and I probably could have gone to bed tonight. We've had a couple cocktails, and Shubi wanted to do the podcast tonight. This is like a big deal for the Shubster, right?
It's a huge
Shub's
honor.
girl is going to be proud of him, right? Am I wrong? He's going to share this.
Yeah,
totally.
All right. Well, back to the golf. I appreciate you having me on here, but I think the biggest thing that I've taken or I've learned from us working together is just how holistic approach to just learning and trying to get better can be. I think, our work together has been focused on golf, but also on so many other things. And I feel like every time we work together, I'm able to talk about anything that I want to help with and anything that I feel like I need to get better at. And you always have some sort of advice or someone that I should talk to, or, things that you can share from your rich past that you've coached all these great players in your past, and you continue to do so. I think I've learned so much from that, and that's why it's so much fun at this point coming out just to hang out with you. Just, going to a dinner before our lessons, like probably the part that I look forward to most.
You just like the chicken wings.
Exactly.
How good are the chicken wings at Hurricane? I mean, and the waitress, bartender there, she owns it. She loves me.
She does love it. The trifecta is amazing at Hurricanes. Yeah, but that part is where I look forward to the most. Working on the pivot pack has been coming in handy.
That.
A little plug for the pivot pack, best product out there. But I think kind of what we were talking about earlier, like you always preach just trying to figure out a few things that you need to work on and just sticking with those. It's probably the hardest thing out there to do. And
why is it so hard? Why is it so hard? This is from and I'm gonna ask Chase this. So let's give it to Chase So Chase tends to get pretty technical. Very technical. You tend to search on the internet. I know you do. Not just on Hinge like you are now, but I'm talking about like for golf, right?
I'll watch a YouTube video.
You'll watch a YouTube video. Why is it so hard to stay on the couple things that you're working on?
I think I've definitely gotten better at it, but the thing that's real hard is you don't always see immediate, results or improvements from things you work on. And if it's been 3-4 weeks and you see, maybe some minor improvements, but nothing like major, it can be easy to try to stray away from it and find something else that you think might work, even though that's not really what you need to do, because you need to kind of ingrain the things you're working on. And if you work on them for 2-3 weeks at a time and just throw them away, it's pretty much a waste of time. Like, you didn't really ingrain anything.
And I told you guys today, we were riding back in the cart, and it's the week after the PGA and major championship, and I mean, if you play a major championship now and you don't talk about Scotty Scheffler, something's wrong, right? Yeah. And Scotty is everything you'd want a young person to be playing the game and growing up. And so his longtime coach, Randy Smith, and I are friends, and we actually last week, Andy and Ogletree and Scotty played 2 holes together, and then we got rained out and came in. But it was on Monday, and I think it was Monday, and it was. I was talking to Randy, and I was like, "What the hell do you tell him?" Right? Yeah. He's like, "Well, for 2.5 years, whatever it is." Basically, I hadn't told him anything. That's what he said. It's the same couple things. Obviously, one has to do with grip and club face and whatever. But and I relayed that to you. One of the things I try to do is, I'm fortunate to spend a bunch of time around people who are way smarter than me, way better, and relay the information. And I think one thing that gets lost with young people is that getting really good is about doing less, but getting good at doing less, right? Whereas I feel like, and I want your opinion on this, but I think that one of the things that happens when you're playing college golf, you're playing competitive golf, is there's this feeling that I've got to get a lot better at a lot of things to be great. And I don't think that's the case. I think you've got to figure out the 2 or 3 things that you, Chase, need to do, the 2 or 3 things, Shubi, you need to do, and you not only need to get good at them, but you need to get good at doing them more of the time. What do you think about that?
I think, especially during the season, if that's when it really gets hard, because, we have qualifying, obviously, tournaments back-to-back, all that stuff, and you kind of get lost sometimes in trying too hard to search for results, and you forget the bigger picture. That's why you need...
What's the bigger picture to you? What's your ultimate goal?
Professional golf. That's how it's always been. I think there have been times when I kind of felt lost about that, where I was not happy with the game, happy with the results, but that's always been my goal. And you've obviously helped me with trying to figure out how to not only improve at things that we need to work on, but also enjoy the process, which is also a big factor of it. If me and Chase kind of talk about that a lot of times, if you're not really enjoying what you're doing out there, if you're not enjoying...
I think that's the hard part. I think and we talked tonight about professionals, if you don't love it and you don't enjoy it, this game will beat the hell out of you. It really will. Yeah. And everybody, 20 handicappers listening are like, "Oh man, it's fun." Man, yeah, and it is. I'm not saying it's not. But man, if you're doing it for college or you're doing it for a living, this game can be lonely. It can beat the shit out of you. And one of the things I've been vocal about is, from a teacher's perspective, if you get to the point where you start putting your value in yourself on how everybody plays, you beat the hell out of yourself, right? And I think it's super easy, whether you're playing, coaching, teaching, whatever, you're deeply involved in this game, to let that happen. To where you think that, Chase is out there grinding and he's been working on what we're doing and we're shooting videos, and he goes and he shoots 77, to not start thinking, and I'm not, you haven't done that. I'm just saying, I'm using you as an example because you're on Tinder. But and maybe somebody wants a 77 shooter, but I'm just saying that like it's hard to not go, man, I suck, right? Like, or whatever, and beat yourself up. How do you guys handle that? Because college golf's hard, play and trying to get better, and there's lots of avenues to get into play the top level. How do you handle it?
Me and Shubi will bounce a lot of stuff off. Just bounce a lot of stuff off each other. There's probably like two things we'll kind of repeat a lot. One of them will repeat a lot, but one of them is something that I think about. One of them is the I'm not sure exactly what it's called, but it's like that graphic of that person who's like mining, you know what I'm talking about, through the mountain, and he stops right before, like, he's dug this big hole, and you can see kind of like through the whole mountain, and so you see there's like, I'm not even sure what's on the other side.
Diamonds.
Gold, diamonds, and he stops like a foot away from the diamonds because he's been digging for so long, and he's like, I'm done with this, like, I've dug all this way, I haven't found anything. But you see on the other side, you know, there's just a foot away from him, there's all these treasures he's been searching for. And so that's kind of like similar to beating away at golf. Like, you could not see any progress for weeks or months at a time, but then all of a sudden you'll look back one day and you'll be like, you know, 6 months from previous ago, I was in a lot worse position than I am now with however I feel about my game or my swing, or, you know, sometimes it just clicks eventually, and then you kind of like go up a little bit. So that's something that we've talked about in the past. And, you know, another thing to kind of remind myself and Shub is kind of keeping your head down and putting one foot in front of the other. You know, like when you climb in a mountain or something, like put one foot in front of the other until you reach the top, and then you finally look up. Like, you don't look up at the top because it seems pretty daunting at the time, all the way up there. But as long as you just do one step at a time, a little bit better here and there, all of a sudden you've reached kind of the peak of the mountain.
One thing that's been fun watching you two is the friendship you two have. So this is more for me than for the public. How the hell did this happen? I mean, Shub comes from India, and he ends up rooming with Chase, who, by all accounts, is a beast, right? Like, I mean, you know, like,
You're right. You're right.
Right? Like, and it's cool for me because, like, I mean, I've told the Greyhound story, but, like, I've learned a lot just getting to know you and your culture, and trying to, part of coaching and teaching people is understanding who they are and where they come from. Yeah. So this will shock you. From Mobile, Alabama, I hadn't taught that many Indian people, right? Like, we don't have them just floating down the river down there or anything, right? Like, you know, like, so how did the two of you guys end up being roommates? And Chase, like, how'd you help him become the Shub?
Yeah. Well, all thanks to our head coach, Steve Bradley, and
right.
Our assistant coach, Brad Caldwell. They somehow recruited us both, and we're pretty smart, believe it or not. We were probably the smartest recruiting class that USF had, apparently. That's what we heard. But, you know, it's not saying much. We came into college. We've actually lived together all 3 years, and I truly feel lucky that I was able to live with Chase all those 3 years. I think, I'm very grateful that, we have this friendship. I rely on him for a lot of things: golf, academics, just life in general in college, chicks. It's like you said, coming from India, it was such a big transition.
What the hell did you think when you got off the plane from India in Tampa? They can't be alike.
Not alike at all. I was so scared. So it was my birthday right when I came in, and I was so scared hitting range balls in front of the coaches because they'd never seen me play. It was COVID when I got recruited, and just feeling so nervous about everything. And credit to my coaches, they made that transition so much easier for me. And I think me and Chase, going back to that, I feel like I'm really grateful for the friendship we have because before coming up here, I went up to his house, stayed there for a few days. I'll do that throughout the summer, through the winter. His family is awesome. And, I think that's what's really special about being able to travel through golf and all that is you build these connections that, hopefully last you a lifetime. And
or a lifetime.
Or a laugh time. It's always a laugh time. But yeah, I think it's been really helpful to have someone like that. And, going back to working with you, I feel like it's not just golf instruction at this point. It's also just reminding myself that, it's okay to not play amazing golf all the time. And it's okay to maybe struggle a little bit and things are going to pan out. A lot of that credit, I feel like, goes to you, goes to Greg. Shout out, Greg.
Shout out to Doc.
Yeah, shout out to Doc.
Most of the mental stuff I give to you, I'm repeating from him. Well, I stole it from him.
I got it all from him. He's an awesome guy. And, I think that having those right people around you is so important. Playing college golf, I've been lucky enough to be paired with good golfers, to, been around good coaches. And that's one of the most common themes I've seen is the guys that do really well, not only performance-wise, but just, looking at it as an overall experience, they seem to have really good people around them. And I think that's very important to have a good team around you.
I've told you, I think the biggest thing that happened to me in my teaching and the reason I'm marginally successful is I've surrounded myself and I've got friends like Colby and Greg that are the best in the world at what they do, and they drag me along. And you've got, you guys have met a bunch of the others, whether it's Wayne and, Woody and so forth, and Hack and all that. But and they make you better. Chase, what the heck? How'd you end up? I mean, so Shubi moves in. Mm-hmm. Tell us about that, and how has it been? And also, I want you to talk a little bit about, you guys are vastly different golfers, but it's been fun as a coach and a teacher to watch. You both love the game of golf. Mm. It's fun watching two different people who love the game and are passionate about it, kind of approach it from different, and what's cool to me, and then I'm going to let you talk, I promise, is he'll get obsessing on it, and you're telling him to not obsess. You're the king of getting too technical, and right, and then he's like, "What the fuck you do?" You know what I mean? Right? So talk about that. I mean, do you guys just some college dorms have girls on? You guys have George Gankis on the phones pulled up? I mean, or what's going on in the room there?
I mean, I think, immediately when we met each other, we were obviously different, but I could tell that immediately, he was a good person. You could tell who the good people are and the people that you might not want to associate yourself with, even through cultural or language differences. And so I could tell that, he was going to be a good roommate, good friend from the get-go. And we kind of came into a team that was pretty far along advanced, a lot of seniors, a couple juniors. I mean, we come in as freshmen, and they'd kind of been there for 2, 3, 4 years, and it kind of felt like we were coming in on something where we were part of the team, but we hadn't gone through the same progression as them, and so they'd kind of related to each other a little more. So I think we grew a little bit tighter in that way too, because it was kind of like us against. We were with the team, but it was just kind of a lot of times it was just us, grinding it out together or working on school together. We took a lot of the same classes, and so we kind of became closer like that, and we had a lot of fun over the last 3 years. Did a lot of golfing too. And we both do have a good passion for the game, and so we have often had a lot of discussions on golf, or things you've talked about, or things we're working on, things we might appreciate or admire about the game. And so it's been a good partnership over the past 3 years, rooming together. We had two other roommates this past year, but
right. So I'm going to ask. This is a deep question, right? I'm going to ask you something about Shubi and Shubi something about you.
Uh-oh.
No, you go first,
me,
Chase.
okay.
Chase, swipe right. If you were to evaluate Shubi now, what's the biggest thing he's got to get better at to make it at the next level? Because I think having real honest evaluation by people that are close to you, but that like you know Joe Blow at the bar or whatever that ain't, but like somebody that really knows you, lives you. I think that's and not in a, you know, you're not going to be like her or whatever, like, but in a real honest way, I think is valuable. What would you say?
I'd say physically he's a great ball striker. He has struggled in the past a little bit with the short game, but he's seemed to pretty much figure that out for the most part. Like, he's been chipping well these past few months, this whole season. I'd say statistically the thing that seems to be lacking the most is putting, and he's pointed that out to me too.
That's why when he met Brad Faxon tonight in the parking lot at Old Palm, he had a tizzy, but go ahead.
Yeah, he was excited for that one, but yeah, he's said he's going to be dedicating himself to putting this summer, and he's got a set plan for these next few months on how to get to point A to point B. I think physically that's the biggest thing, and mentally maybe just, I don't know, maybe getting more in kind of a back to like kind of an attack mode. I remember him used to be talking about how he used to play his best golf when he was attacking, whether that be attacking a conservative target or attacking the pin. But I think the more he's able to be kind of personally aggressive.
I feel like recently, and you tell me if you think I'm wrong, Shubi plays like he's trying to not make a mistake rather than trying to play golf. He's trying to avoid making a bad decision or hitting a bad shot rather than trying to hit a good shot. Yeah,
I would say that's probably accurate. And that's accurate for me as well, but
we'll get to you.
Yeah, so I can relate to that.
To talk about with you. It's another 30 minutes.
I think the more aggressive and more committed and convicted on a target or something he wants to do during a round of golf he is, then the better he'll play, the better he'll swing it, better he'll score. So I'd say both of those things. Not a lot of things to improve, but great ball striker. Like I said, been chipping it well, but
great beard.
Yeah, great beard as well. He's got all the fundamentals here.
Be brown next time we see him. But Shub, you've roomed with Chase now.
Yes, sir.
I've worked with Chase less time than with you, but we worked a good bit. I want your opinion, and I'll just say this: Chase is an incredibly gifted golf swing.
Yeah,
and I would say before we get into you is, I don't know that I think you're one of those few people that doesn't realize how good your own golf swing is. Yeah. Right? Now to you, Shub, for further
analysis. Well, I totally agree with that. That was going to be my first point is, you know, our coaches, we talk about this. He's the freshman year that we came in, we had All-American on the team. We were one of the better ranked teams in the country, and even on that team, we agreed that Chase probably was the most talented in terms of just golfing ability and skills. And I still believe that when Chase is playing good golf, it's just looks very free-flowing, and I think he needs to realize how good athletically he is at the game. You know, not just his swing, but the touch he has around the greens, you know, putting, all that. I do think there's certain fundamentals that he can work on, which, you know, he's obviously doing with you, you know, working on the loading, working on the basics, you know, the grip, the posture. We call that the GPS, the grip posture setup of the golf swing. You know, working on that, working on loading, which you guys obviously are. I think the biggest thing for Chase is just building a level of trust in his game, and that's up to him to figure out how he wants to do that. if it comes from seeing results first on the range or hearing it from you that, hey, I think you're doing great. I think you're in a good position now. Or if it's seeing it on video or whatever that is, I think the biggest aspect that's maybe lacking for Chase is having that confidence in himself that he's the best guy out there, which he can be, by all means. And until he doesn't believe that fully, I think it's going to be hard for him to show for that, maybe.
I'm going to tell you a little story here. It's a good story. So this goes back to Austin, Texas. And Smiley was in the World Match Play. It's when they started WGCs, right? And which was basically what Liv did. They were paying people to come play. You're guaranteed money. But anyways, that's another thing. So anyways, and he was hitting balls, and some of it was good, some of it was bad, and he got pretty worked up and trying to be perfect. And Tom Kite was standing on the practice screen there, and I had spent some time with Mr. Kite early in my career, and every time I've been around him, he's been awesome. And I was walking across, we were heading to one, I think, and Mr. Kite stops me, and we talk, and he's, Smiley had won earlier that year. It was a lot going on, and he said, man, he's impressive. I was like, yeah, it's a good, and he's like, he wasn't very happy. And I was like, no, blah, blah, blah. And he said something I wrote down, and I've never forgot. He goes, he needs to get better at understanding that sometimes good enough is good enough.
Yeah.
And I think in golf, the strive for perfection and the stuff on the phones and shit, we're guilty. I put out 2 million pieces of content while we've been talking here. I did look at Britney Spears' new post, but I'm not going to lie. That's why Shubi had a pause for a minute. And, but like, it's easy to think you got to be perfect or there's a way to be perfect playing the game. And so if I was to give you two advice, parting shots here, and then I'll let you two each say a parting shot, is like, to be great, you need to each of you figure out the 2 or 3 things you need to be good at, which we've all talked about, and understand that you also don't have to be perfect at them to be great at playing the game. Because I think that's one of the things that happens is, whether it's social media and all the shit that's out there, is like, I got it. There's a way to be perfect, or that somebody else or somebody has an answer that's going to fix all your golfing problems or whatever, and make you win. It's just, golf's not that way. So kudos to you guys for being, one, culturally so different and fun as hell to hang out with. I've had, like, Shubi's like me now, though. Like, Shubi's almost more Southern than, maybe not, but Shubi's close to as Southern as me.
Yeah.
But
he is.
You guys have been awesome. I love when you come down here to Old Palm and hang out. I know that Hack and Dan and Lynn and everybody down here, we love having you hang out there. It's fun, and we're gonna have a good. And I love you guys staying here now at the new casa, and we had some good wings. So appreciate you coming down. We're gonna get some good work in. Shub, parting shot.
Well, I'd just like to thank you for having us, and really looking forward to the lesson tomorrow morning.
Well, I hope it's good.
Oh, it's going to be great. We're going to work on some loading and talk about life as we usually do.
We'll get there.
Off to Chase.
I think Shub covered it a lot. I mean,
Shub.
we're Shubies are. He's we really appreciative of you having us down here and staying with you, and looking forward to the lesson tomorrow. Working on a couple of things we should work on, and
not every day you get
just
to
getting better.
Have some chicken wings and tape a podcast and get a golf lesson.
It's not every day, so
rare.
Definitely got to cherish days like these.
All right, I'll tell you what. Next podcast, are you going to update us on the hinge session? Like, kind of let us know how it all panned out.
That sounds like a plan.
Hi, this is Tony Ruggiero. And look, recently, several teachers I know and several players have had some scares with skin cancer. In fact, I recently went and saw a dermatologist here in town, and I had a couple things frozen off, eyelid, my face, my earlobe, and not getting any younger. And I know it's getting to that time of the season where it's cooler, but look, being in the sun is a real deal, and I've not been very good, to be totally honest, my whole career at using it at all because I didn't like how greasy it was, how hard it was to get off your hands, how it clogged up my pores. And then I found this sunscreen, Visor Skincare. It's clear, it goes on, it doesn't dry you out, it isn't greasy, it's like you didn't put anything on it. By far, it's the best sunscreen I've ever used. Without a doubt, is the easiest to use. And we've got a discount code for all of you. All you have to do is go to visorskincare.com, is use our code word DewSweeper. Visorskincare.com, code word DewSweeper. I just want to remind everybody something that I forgot. Recently, a couple weeks ago, my wife and I went out. We went to a wedding, and afterwards with some friends, we were like, hey, where's a great place to go? I'll be honest, in my travels and day-to-day, sometimes I get caught up and I forget some of the great places right around the corner. But I got to remind you about the Icebox Bar on 755 Monroe Street. I was blown away by just the whole vibe, the atmosphere, and with the Velvet Pig, the food in the back room, and the big screen TVs up front. We sat there and watched some playoff games. I was blown away by the atmosphere, the vibe, and just how cool it was to have the Icebox Bar right here near the DewSweepers downtown, near where I live. You're looking for a great place to go sit, watch some games, hang out, play some pool, you got to go to the Icebox Bar right there on Monroe Street. There's a good chance you'll see all of us hanging out. But do yourself a favor, go visit the Icebox. It's one of the best places out there.